Join us on Entertainment Tonight.
This evening at 7:30.
This is your 24-hour news source.
This is News Center 7's first edition for November 8th, 1990. Police say he has a history of mental problems and a background of problems with the police. And yet this man, described as a walking time bomb, was armed and confronted police today. We were on the scene and we'll have a report.
More Ohio troops are on their way to the Middle East. Family members gave them a tearful send-off today at Wright Pat. And tonight's forecast will be a cold one.
Can you say 26? Tonight's forecast and the day's news ahead on News Center's first edition.
Live from the award-winning Miami Valley News Leader, the latest news with Ken Jefferson and Cheryl McHenry, Ted Ryan's AccuWeather, and sports with Mike Hartsock. Now, News Center 7's first edition.
Good evening. Police say a man with mental problems, armed with a shotgun, threatened officers and citizens today in Mad River Township.
The suspect is well known by police for assault, telephone harassment, and illegal hunting.
Today's incident is raising questions about Dennis Cook and how he can be stopped from hurting himself and others as well. Becky Grimes is on the scene. Becky, tell us what happened.
Well, a chase in the woods at gunpoint led police to the suspect. They say Dennis Cook is a time bomb waiting to go off. He's spent time in jail and in mental hospitals, but officers say they've been powerless in keeping him out of trouble.
We had enough ammunition to start a war.
42-year-old Dennis Cook rambled incoherently as officers searched him for weapons. He was caught with a 12-gauge shotgun and a large number of deer slugs.
No knife, no.
Police say Cook has a legal hunting license, but he was hunting illegally in the woods between Kmart and the McGregor Business Complex on Woodman Drive. The busy roadway was blocked to traffic as officers from Mad River, Dayton, and Montgomery County searched the wooded area. They were moving cautiously because Cook had already pointed a shotgun at several citizens and a police officer.
He wouldn't drop his gun. He wouldn't drop his gun until the officers jumped him and caught him by surprise.
Cook lives on the other side of Woodman Drive at the corner of Dora and Eastman with his father. Police say Cook has been arrested at least 12 times for pointing guns at people, hunting in public places, and assault. And at one time, he was investigated for stalking a nationally known figure skater.
The indications we have at the mental health wards don't want him in there. And we have tried to work with the family to try to get him committed, but they said that they won't, even though he's their son and he's got problems, they said they're not going to take the steps to get him committed to get the proper help that he needs.
Cook is now in the Dayton City Jail, charged with criminal trespassing and aggravated menacing. He's under a $5,000 cash bond.
Thanks, Becky. You know, Ken, when citizens hear of a story like this one, their first reaction is, how can this happen?
Well, to help us answer that question, we go live to downtown Dayton, where we're joined by Robert Mullins of the Alcohol, Drug Addiction, and Mental Health Services Board of Montgomery County.
Mr. Mullins, why can't a man like this, who appears to be dangerous, be taken off the streets?
It's a very difficult issue to respond to. It's something that citizens and consumers and families and professionals have been concerned about for a long time, because we're talking about taking away an individual's liberty, their right to privacy. In Ohio and in this country, that's something that we cherish for people, and patients have the right and individuals have the right to refuse treatment if they so desire. However, in Ohio, if someone meets certain criteria that's prescribed by law, they can be put into a hospital against their will and treated. So it can be done in this state and in this city.
As Becky mentioned in her report, police say this man is a walking time bomb. I know that we have to protect an individual's right, but what about society's right to be protected from people like him?
Well, I think society certainly has that right, and that's why in the Mental Health Act of 1988, the new mental health law in Ohio, there's a provision for any police officer or sheriff or psychiatrist, psychologist, and so on who believes that an individual is mentally ill and a substantial risk to themselves or to others, that person can be taken into custody, transported to a hospital to receive treatment. And in fact, in Montgomery County, individuals who meet those definitions of being a risk to themselves can be evaluated on the scene by the pre-screening service that the board contracts with.
Okay, Mr. Mullins, thanks very much for joining us. Sounds like a very complicated issue with no easy solutions.
Thank you.
Thanks.
In other news, an accused murderer appeared in court today. 20-year-old William Cochran of Dayton is charged with aggravated murder and aggravated robbery in the death of a gasoline truck driver. Dayton Municipal Judge James Cannon set bond at $100,000 cash. Cochran stands accused of stabbing 56-year-old Lloyd Stewart as he was making a gas delivery to this service station along North Kiowee. Police say robbery was the apparent motive of the crime. It happened Tuesday morning.
Nearly 300 more troops are heading for Saudi Arabia. They're scheduled to leave Wright-Patterson Air Force Base tonight. The soldiers' families are being allowed to stay with them up until the last minute. Some of them told News Center 7's Lazan Honeycutt they think that's nice, since now may be the worst time to say goodbye.
This was the last stop for nearly 300 reserve troops on their way to Saudi Arabia. They're stationed in Columbus and Illinois. They'll be working on everything from typewriters to tanks. This is the largest deployment Wright-Patterson Air Force Base has handled since the Kuwaiti invasion nearly 3 months ago. And with tensions running high in the Middle East, many families weren't about to let their loved ones go without a last farewell.
There's Randy. You know, everybody hopes this day will never come. You don't want to see anybody go off to a situation of uncertainty.
Ronnie Copeland's the only one from Dayton in the group. He says it feels strange to actually be leaving.
I'm mentally up impaired. I'm more worried about my family. My wife, she has a harder job in watching the children.
What makes leaving now even tougher on these families is the coming holiday season, knowing their loved ones will be thousands of miles from home and not knowing when they'll return.
It's especially going to be hard, not so much for me, but for my children, because they are used to having their father around.
That's why these families are thankful to be with their loved ones up until the bitter end, for a chance to steal one more hug, one more precious moment before it all becomes a memory. At Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, Lazan Honeycutt, News Center 7.
The troops are scheduled to leave sometime around 8:30 tonight.
23 before 6. My, are you going to be in hot water? You're going to like it, though, because it's going to be really cold outside tonight, isn't it?
I've been practicing 26.
Wow, you haven't said that for a while.
Can you say 26? And I can say it, Ken.
It's going to get that cold.
It's going to get cold. It's that feel is here, and you know what? It's not going to get any better. It'll be even colder later in the week.
Oh, my.
Isn't that exciting? Let's find out what's happening right now as we look at our Doppler radar, and we put in sky conditions around the area and temperatures. You'll be able to see cloudy is basically it, except the folks over at Indianapolis. They've already started to clear out, but we're on the chilly side. By the way, our low was 31 degrees, and that occurred at 3 o'clock this morning. We had a very warm 44 degrees at 11:30 this morning as the day's high. That's the reason why. That's the frontal system. You see, it's now well past us. It's over into the central part of Pennsylvania and continue its very rapid movement on into the east. Between now and 11 o'clock, we're saying it's going to be brisk. It will be cold. There will be clouds. And the clouds by 10:30, 11 o'clock probably will start to break up a little bit. We're expecting a temperature reading of 36 degrees by then.
Okay, thanks, Ted. A chilly evening.
Right.
Yeah. How do you make downtown Dayton thrive? Well, that's a complex question, and the answer is not so obvious, but there are some lessons to be learned from other cities.
Today, Jim Blue travels to Indianapolis for a success story. Here is the final segment of Downtown Dayton. Money well spent?
They used to call it India No Place, a boring backwater in a flat rural state. But look at Indianapolis now.
We got sweatshirts and T-shirts and ornaments. And
People here line up to buy shirts emblazoned with the slogan, Celebrate Downtown. Why would you buy a shirt that says Celebrate Downtown on it?
Because we're proud of downtown.
Why?
Well, it's really growing a lot, and all the stores are adding and stuff. It's a neat place to work.
I think we've got a real nice downtown. It's well planned and growing the way it should.
What did Indianapolis do right? At a time when other Midwestern cities are stagnating, this downtown glitters, it bustles, it's filled with people. Well, for one thing, the city leaders here came up with a central plan.
The plan took years to develop, and the process is still underway.
One of the things that makes Indianapolis unique is that they've reached out into the community and brought people into the decision-making process in its earliest stages, which means that a lot of people out there in the community buy into the ideas.
2 decades ago, Indianapolis and surrounding Marion County made the forward-thinking decision to combine their resources into a UniGov. And today, the citizens are reaping the benefits.
We've got a unique situation with our UniGov in that our city and our county are a combined government, so we only have one set of decision makers that affect the geographic area that we're trying to build.
Back in Dayton, Chamber President Tom Heine says we can learn from other cities.
Yeah, the lesson in Indianapolis was they did something smart there. Also, they did create a plan. I think there are some lessons to be learned, and I think Dayton's approaching it right with the idea of a downtown partnership to really decide what ought to be here.
But other city leaders, Commissioner Tony Capizzi, for example, look out their windows and question the future of efforts like The Landing, a riverfront residential project.
So I still look out there and say there's $3 million of city money that I don't know if was wisely spent.
And that question can only be answered by the citizens of Dayton. Jim Blue, News Center 7.
Community leaders recently embarked on a planning process called Challenge 95. Its impact on downtown development will take several years.
Before you get another X-ray, you may want to pay attention to our health center report just ahead.
Also ahead, we'll show you why some movies and TV shows may have to change their filming locations.
Stay with us.
Come, see what's growing in the garden. What's chopping? What's baking? What's popping? What's shaking? What's savory? What's saucy? What's squiggly? What's sweet? What's twirling and whirling? What's wooing and eyeing? Come, see for yourself at the Olive Garden Italian restaurant, where all the best of Italy is yours.
There's a club in town so exclusive even I can't get in. It's called Club 53 at Fifth Third Bank. And once you get in, you've got it made. You get free checking with interest, higher rates on certificates of deposit, discounts on travel, and much more. There's just one thing that keeps me from being a member.
Sorry, Johnny.
They won't let you in until you're 53.
Stop in any Fifth Third Bank and find out about Club 53 today.
First time I ever wanted to lie about my age.
Other drugstores discount 100, 3,000 items, but you have to watch weekly. Why do that? Come to Drug Mart, Dayton's largest drugstore with more than 15,000 items discounted every day.
Save up to 50% on shampoos, conditioners, and deodorants all the time. Up to 40% on cosmetics every day. Up to 50% on household products and cleaning supplies day in and day out. Up to 30% on prescriptions and 50% on insurance co-payments every day. The proof is at the checkout at all 4 Drug Mart locations.
The Victoria Theatre Association presents the musical sensation of the decade, Les Miserables, winner of 8 Tony Awards. Call 228-3630.
Come into Rack's for our new bacon and cheddar melt and leave feeling nice and full, even in your wallet.
Nobody stacks up to Rack's.
A militant Jewish leader is laid to rest amid violence, and the nation is losing its first drug czar. Details in your first look at the world. The White House confirms President Bush's drug policy chief, William Bennett, is quitting. Spokesman Marlon Fitzwater won't give a reason for the resignation, but he denies it has anything to do with reported threats against Bennett and his family. Jewish Defense League founder Meir Kahane, gunned down in New York Monday, has been buried in Israel amid chants of death to Arabs. The suspected gunman is an Egyptian immigrant. Some members of the funeral procession smashed windows and chased Arabs during today's march in Jerusalem. Firefighters in California have put out a huge fire on a backlot at Universal Studios. Hundreds of employees had to be evacuated. The blaze damaged at least 5 buildings. It broke out on a soundstage at one of the major attractions. No cause has been determined. And it's back to work for full-fledged lawyer John F. Kennedy Jr. The late president's only son just passed the New York State bar exam on his 3rd try. Kennedy is keeping his job as an assistant to Manhattan's district attorney. And that's your first look at the world.
Studies say that each year in this country, anywhere from 2,000 to 4,000 deaths are related to X-ray overexposure. Medical reporter Linda Robertson says the next time you go to the doctor's office, you may want to check if the X-ray technician is qualified.
If you've gotten an X-ray lately, chances are the person operating the equipment has had no special training and no credentials to prove that they know what they're doing. The way Ohio law stands now, according to some radiologists, is that you could be working in McDonald's one day and operating X-ray machines the next. Angie Arnold is an X-ray technologist at Good Samaritan Hospital. She is one of thousands of X-ray technicians in the state, but she is in the minority of those who have had proper training for their chosen career.
They don't know
what they're really doing with in terms of the exposure. So the patient is at risk as well as the operator.
Moore says many X-ray technicians who work in private practices away from supervised areas such as hospitals or where there is a radiologist expert may be overexposing their patients.
Consequences of exposure include like leukemia, cataracts. There are certain chromosome changes that can occur.
State Representative Mark Guthrie says that 40% of Ohio's radiologists are untrained. He's sponsoring a bill that would change that.
We have a statute that requires that the equipment itself be licensed and monitored. At the same time, we have no statute that requires that the people that operate that equipment, that are responsible for the safety of those that they're exposing to the radiation, be trained in any way.
The Ohio Society of Radiologic Technologists will hold its annual state conference in Dayton starting Thursday night and running through the weekend. 12,000 radiologists from all over the state are expected to attend to continue their education. From Health Center 7, I'm Linda Robertson.
We're glad you're with us. Stick around. There is more. How about some sports? Tonight in your first look, a profile of one of the most explosive quarterbacks and powerful teams in the state. Can anyone stop St. Henry?
And in our review of news from around the valley, an update on a pit bull attack that occurred last September in Xenia.
Our Wednesday report continues after this break.
Quality patient care and reliable customer service has been a trusted tradition at Fidelity Prescriptions for over 70 years. If getting your prescription filled is difficult, let Fidelity's home or office delivery make your prescriptions easily accessible. November is Diabetes Month. Remember, exercise is beneficial to diabetics because it controls balance between sugar and insulin in your blood. It also maintains muscle tone and good circulation. This message is brought to you by Fidelity Prescriptions, your neighborhood pharmacist.
Bill, Carol, glad you could make it for dinner. Ah, little Susie, too. Come on in. Ah, the twins, isn't that great? And Uncle Joe and Aunt Alice and honey, Cousin Ted and Will and the wife, and you all came in.
Don't worry, Pizza Hut delivers. Pizza Hut Delivery presents the $4 pizza deal. For a limited time, first pizza regular price up to 4 more, just $4 each.
Pizza Hut, making it great.
Free delivery in Dayton and surrounding areas. Now delivering in Salina.
From the heart of Hidden Valley comes a healthy new idea in salad dressing. Introducing Take Heart from Hidden Valley Ranch. Take Heart dressings have no cholesterol, very little fat, and very few calories, but you never know it by the taste. So take your health to heart with new Take Heart salad dressings in 5 delicious flavors. Healthy new Take Heart.
It happens just once a year. It's Morris Furniture's 43rd anniversary sale with savings up to 43% off Morris suggested retail prices on furniture and accessories. Over 100 famous name brands like high-quality GE appliances. Save more on General Electric dependable washers and dryers, time-saving efficient ranges, and refrigerators because Morris Furniture is a GE premier dealer. And during their anniversary sale, you'll save more.
You get more at Morris.
11 till 6 now, time for sports. An area high school is aiming for the title of state champion in football.
And one of the Big Ten's football programs is in trouble. Mike Hartsock has details in your first look at sports. Good evening, Mike.
Good evening, Ken. Actually, it's the Illinois basketball program that got the bad news today. 3 years of probation from the NCAA, including no postseason play next year and cuts in the number of scholarships. You'll remember the Illini lost to Dayton in the NCAA tournament last March. Losing is something they don't know much about. Up in St. Henry, the Redskins are defending small school state basketball champs, and John Condit says they could add another state title later this month.
This is probably the best football team in St. Henry history. 11-0, number 1 in the state for Division 5, and led by one of the best quarterbacks in all of high school football.
There's no doubt in my mind. I think Bob Hoying could play anywhere in the country right now. I really do.
Bob Hoying can do it all. The 6'5", 210-pound quarterback is 122 for 205 through the air this year for 1,984 yards and 22 touchdowns.
we've had a lot of good teams in the past, and we just haven't got the chance to go on. And it seems like this year it's all come together. We've worked hard, real hard over the summer, and I think that has a lot to do with it.
Now, Hoying comes from a great sports family. His grandpa is Wally Post, the former Red. They've named a complex up in St. Henry after Wally Post.
I didn't know him. I think he died when I was 8, and I got to know him a little bit, and I still remember him. But it's great having him as my grandpa.
His primary receiver is senior Scott Brunswick, who caught 10 passes in the Redskins' win over Tri-County North Friday. His yearly totals are 63 grabs for 1,137 yards and 14 touchdowns. Both Brunswick and Hoying brought home the basketball state crown last March for the Redskins.
As athletes, it made us, realize that the talent that we have, and we could use this on the football field too.
They talked about it a little bit, guys, let's get together and let's get that state football championship, and we took the first step in the right direction tonight.
I'm John Condit, covering the playoffs for Touchdown 7.
The Dayton Flyers land another big basketball talent. That story and more of our Touchdown 7 football previews coming up at 6 o'clock. I'll see you then.
Okay, Mike, thank you. In Xenia, charges have been dropped against a woman involved in a pit bull attack earlier this fall. That story tops the list in tonight's review of the news around the valley. She was caring for a pit bull terrier when it attacked a 12-year-old Xenia girl last September. And now the city prosecutor says Kathy Puckett was not responsible for the attack. Charges against her have been dropped. The pit bull, meanwhile, remains in isolation, and felony charges are pending against the dog's owner. The UAW and a division of B.F. Goodrich is taking an active role in getting servicemen in Southeast Asia home. It's estimated 2,000 personnel are still in Southeast Asia, listed as POW or simply missing in action. Today, the Miami County Veterans Council presented the B.F. Goodrich plant the POW MIA flag. And finally, honors today for the Pickwill Post of the State Highway Patrol. Trooper Dan Hubler of Sydney was awarded Trooper of the Year award at the Pickwill Post, while dispatcher Marshall Carey of Bradford received the Telecommunications Post. Both were selected by their colleagues based on job performance. And that is your first look around the valley. And those two people are now up for statewide awards.
Yeah, how nice.
Yes.
Well, Jim and Deborah are standing by in the newsroom. They're next at 6. I take it not everyone is happy about last night's election.
Boy, you got that right, Cheryl. Xenia students angry over the failed levy took to the streets today. We're going to show you what happened when they walked out of school.
And George Voinovich and Mike DeWine are now preparing for their move to Columbus. We'll take a look at the day after and some statewide and local issues.
Attorneys for the man accused in the 1988 murder of Arby's manager Paula Fox are now trying to keep certain evidence out of court.
And we'll show you how one Troy woman got ready for winter with a little help from her friends. These stories and more just about 10 minutes from now.
For the greatest values on name brand shoes, it's the Blockbuster Sale at Value City. Men's Aspen 8-inch insulated work boots, not $54, only $36.99. Your choice of women's LA Gear leather high tops or men's A6 low-cut leather court shoes, not $65 to $72, only $36.99. Women's all-weather boots from Gold Seal and Sporto, not $34, only $16.99. Women's footwork dress shoes, not $32, only $18.99. During the Blockbuster Sale at all Value City department stores.
Here's $500. Want it? Take it. You couldn't have it last month. Can't have it next month. Today, it's yours. Here's $750. Put it with the $500. Here's $600 more. If you need one of these, don't miss this. For 40 days, the Valley Olds family will start you, rev you, and protect you with the Oldsmobile Edge. Oldsmobile Cutlass Sierra, 11930. Cutlass Sierra, 11930. Step on it while the money flies at your Valley Olds family.
Are you forced to catch up on your reading while waiting in line at your grocery store? Not at Fulmer. Fulmer's Three's a Crowd policy means another register is open before a long line forms.
No waiting. So shop Fulmer and leave your novels at home. So shop Fulmer today and see the difference caring makes.
Now McDonald's makes aviation history with Disney's Tailspin characters. Just $1.99 gets your kids a hamburger Happy Meal and a die-cast Tailspin toy. There's Baloo.
Oh, baby, this is serious.
Kit Cloud Kicker.
Can I fly? Can I?
Molly.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And Wildcat.
What did I do?
And the propellers actually move. Hamburger Happy Meal, just $1.99 at McDonald's.
Plainly terrific.
The First Edition weather is brought to you by Fulmer Supermarkets and by McDonald's Restaurants.
Well, Ted's back with us now to give us the lowdown on the temperature. If I'm not mistaken, this would be the first time this season that we're below 30.
Yeah, we had been predicting 28 a week or so ago, but this is our coldest spell that is coming up. You're right, Dan. You said low down, and you were right, because we're talking about the low being down from where we normally like to see it. Here's our tower cam picture, and as you can see, the darkness and the lights twinkling throughout Dayton already. Here's our Doppler radar. Let's put in temperature sky conditions across the country. You'll be able to see along with us. Partly cloudy to cloudy, but over at Indianapolis it cleared out already as that cold front has worked its way well on to the east. We move from that to try and show you what is happening with our weather. There's that cold front. You can see it's in central Pennsylvania already, taking with it the precipitation. There had been some showers, some snow showers, all well to the north of us. The high pressure area, this appears to be a stronger high, a bigger high than the one we had just the other day, so that this should clear things out. Tomorrow we should have a great deal of sunshine, although it's still going to be below normal. Want to keep our eye on down here. This could have some effect on us perhaps a little bit later on in the week. In the meantime, moving from our map to the forecast for us here this evening, brisk conditions. It'll be cold. There'll be clouds. They'll start to break out late in the evening. About a 36-degree temperature reading by 11 o'clock. Now, overnight, it's going to be partly cloudy, and it will be cold, and we'll be down to 26 degrees. Tomorrow, however, things will start to perk up a little bit. As we're saying, it's going to be partly to mostly sunny skies, but still chilly. 46 for our high. Our normal high for this time of the year is about 55 degrees. Again, tonight, we are just amazed at the tremendous talent that is shown to us by Ken's dog, Jackson. He posed as a horse here in Happy, Texas. Before we leave, I want to remind also everybody that the hazardous waste is the pickup is this Saturday at the Montgomery County South Incinerator between the hours of 9 and 3. Keep it in mind.
Great idea. Did you ever have a beard, Ted?
No.
Did you?
Once.
One time. Well, most men have never thought of having a beard like Steve Conlon's. Take a look at this. He has a beard made up of some 4,000 bees. Some people will do anything for a gimmick, and this is Steve and Ellie Conlon's gimmick to draw attention to their honeybee business. Maybe a sweet idea, but you wouldn't want to be around when he lathers up for his morning shave now, would you?
No. Funny you should mention, the only beard I ever had was a bee beard. So anyway, done in Lebanon. We're almost finished with tonight's First Edition. Join Jim Baldridge and Deborah Countess in a few moments for our 6 o'clock report.
Stay with us.
This is Rax Covert Command speaking. To prevent our competition from learning of the incredible low price of our new bacon and cheddar melt, we're broadcasting to only 5 carefully screened homes. Yours has been chosen. To get your bacon and cheddar melt at this unprecedented price, wait for the theme song to end, proceed to Rax, and ask for Franz. We'll know who you are.
Nobody stacks up to Rax.
Extra, extra, read all about it. Scoreboard goes out of business after 40 years. Save up to 70% off as Value City presents part of a $16 million buyout for boys. Featuring boys 2 to 4 fleece tops and boys 4 to 7 knit tops, not $15 to $20. Your choice $4.99. Boys 4 to 7 fleece tops and bottoms, not $14 to $20. Your choice $5.99. Boys 8 to 20 fleece tops and bottoms, not $14 to $24. Your choice $6.99. Don't miss the $16 million scoreboard buyout at all Value City department stores.
You know what's special about the 91 Plymouth Voyager? The great ideas that came from real-life moms and dads. People who already love and drive Plymouth Voyagers. Like this, great in a car wash.
Look, another glove box for more storage. Extra cup holders for passengers in the back. And want to see something really neat? Easy.
The new 1991 Plymouth Voyager. Now that's what I call family-friendly.
See the customer satisfaction specialist, your Miami Valley Chrysler Plymouth dealers.
It's Wheel of Fortune's Cruise and Cash Splash. Win $1,000 or a Caribbean cruise. Watch Wheel for details.
Weeknights at 7 on Television 7.
Xenia students take to the streets. They say no levy, no school.
And here's something you may never have seen before in a hospital. It is dog therapy, and we'll show you how it works.
Live from the award-winning Miami Valley News Leader, Up to the Minute News with Jim Baldridge and Deborah Countess, AccuWeather with Dave Freeman, and Sports with Mike Hartsock. Now, News Center 7 at 6.
Good evening.
One day after the election, and Ohio's governor-elect is wasting no time preparing to take over at the State House.
George Voinovich says he is anxious to get to work after last night's big win over Anthony Calabrese. And as News Center's Jim Otte reports, the new governor is already talking about reforms in the political process.
With a victory at the polls and a mandate from the people, George Voinovich is already going to work. He's setting up a transition team. It includes Springfield native Kurt Steiner, who is Voinovich's campaign communications director. Outgoing Governor Richard Celeste has pledged a smooth transition. One of the new governor's first goals in the legislature will be passage of a new campaign finance reform law.
And I have to tell you that I was not happy with having to spend as much time that I did in this campaign dialing for dollars and trying to get money to pay for our campaign. There's got to be a better way of doing it. It's out of hand in Ohio, it's out of hand nationally.
Voinovich says the pressure to raise enough money for multi-million-dollar media campaigns is just too overwhelming. He calls it dangerous for the political process.
I think it's a threat to people's ability to do their work because they're spending too much of their time trying to raise money for campaigns.
Governor Voinovich will be sworn in here on the State House steps in January, but still a lot of work to be done to set up the new administration. In Columbus, Jim Otte, News Center 7.
Wonder if the swearing in will be as wet and cold as last year. Anyway, the loser in the race, Anthony Calabrese, says he's not sure what he's going to be doing in the future.
And Deborah, it'll probably be Thanksgiving, they say now, before we know who the next Ohio Attorney General will be. The race between Democrat Lee Fisher and Republican Paul Pfeiffer went down to the wire, with Fisher now leading by less than 1,000 votes statewide. Several thousand other ballots are still to be counted, but Fisher thinks he'll hang on and eventually win.
Many people thought that Lee Fisher could not win a general election against someone who'd been on the statewide ballot twice, and this is the fourth time he's run for statewide office. I've always been the underdog. I've always been in close races. So the fact of the matter is we are ready for another close race over these next 3 weeks.
Fisher says he didn't get much sleep last night. He also believes there will be a recount.
Employees of the Montgomery County Auditor's Office are concerned about their futures tonight. They went to work stunned by the upset of incumbent Dana Stamps in last night's elections. Challenger A.J. Wagner garnered 53% of the vote, but the auditor-elect says most of the current employees will not lose their jobs.
One of the promises I made during the campaign was that every position in that office is going to be evaluated. We're going to have an outside personnel consultant come in and create job descriptions with objective job qualifications. And that way that at least if I hire Democrats, I can go back to the public and say they are indeed qualified to hold these positions.
Wagner says at least 6 positions will be eliminated when he takes office in March.
The chant is, if the levee don't go, we won't go. And that's what hundreds of Xenia school students chanted as they walked out of school today. As News Center's Sally Taylor reports, it's because voters turned down the Xenia school levy once again.
Hundreds of Central Junior High students walked out of school and said so long to their education.
You walk into my school and everybody's sad, you know, and everybody just feels there's no reason to go to school no more. There's nothing left.
They try and take our sports and stuff away. They're taking education away from us. How are we supposed to go to college with an education in Xenia?
What am I going to do? I mean, it's going to be hard to, I can't really have any fun playing sports.
The kids say this is their way of blowing off some steam. They're mad, they're frustrated. They'll now have to give up all their sports and special classes. But there's one thing they're not giving up.
I think we still have Xenia pride, and we're showing it out while we're out here right now.
Many kids left school grounds to rally, and school officials got worried.
We're concerned about young people off school campus and on the streets when motorists don't expect them to be there, and we're very concerned about their safety.
Hundreds of students decided to rally in the junior high gym. Trying to supervise were some teachers who will soon be fired because of the failed levy.
Hurt, a little upset, but, you know, I'll survive.
So while the pride is still alive in Xenia schools, these kids say this is definitely one big loss that will take some time to get over. Sally Taylor, News Center 7.
Another request for a Xenia school levy is expected to be on the ballot again soon.
The man accused of the 1988 murder of an Arby's restaurant manager was in court today. The attorney for William Wesley Baker is fighting to keep critical evidence out of an upcoming trial. According to a Dayton police detective, Baker admitted he killed Paula Fox in December of 1988, but Baker's lawyer says that testimony should not be used as evidence against his client. The attorney says the statement was made without an attorney present and that Baker never signed any document waiving his rights. The prosecutors say, though, that Baker clearly knew what his rights were when he talked with police.
The key here is that although the defendant did not want to sign a particular form, he still told the detective that he was willing to talk to him. After that, there was an exchange of questions and answers, and I think those are clear that the defendant knew his Miranda rights and did in fact waive those Miranda rights orally, although not in writing.
Judge Barbara Gorman expects to rule on the issue in a couple of days. A trial date has not been set.
Police say a gunman with a history of mental problems threatened citizens and police officers at gunpoint today. 42-year-old Dennis Cook was arrested by Mad River and Dayton police following a manhunt in a wooded area off Woodman Drive. The busy roadway was blocked off by police to ensure safety. Police say Cook pointed the shotgun at several people and had enough ammo for a small war.
I had deer slugs, a double-out buck. He was carrying a shotgun, bolt-action shotgun. He had about 40 rounds on him.
Cook has been arrested many times for assault, illegal hunting, and harassment. Police say they've urged his family to have him hospitalized.
There is a heart-wrenching story in the news tonight that will probably turn your stomach. A story of animal cruelty that reminds us what some people are capable of doing. We get the details from News Center's Linda Robertson.
Despite the way he looks, this 2-year-old cat is lucky to be alive. If Dayton firefighters from the station at Main and Fairview hadn't found him in a nearby parking lot, he would have surely suffocated. Someone had bound both his front and back legs and completely wrapped his head with several layers of duct tape.
So that the cat was literally unable to move, open its mouth, eat, drink, or do anything except just lie there and die.
Psychologists will tell you that whoever was capable of harming this cat is also capable of doing the very same thing to a child, a spouse, a parent, anyone who is weaker.
This is much more premeditated, where you take an animal and you actually sit there and you wrap him up with tape. That's pretty premeditated, and you have to be thinking about that as you do it. And so that even makes it more scary that this is out there and somebody would do that.
And the fact that they could do that to a human being.
That's right. They could certainly act out that way to a human being.
Dr. Flexman says animal abuse is the start of a vicious cycle. Documented studies show that people convicted of violent crimes often have a history of animal abuse. The Humane Society also believes that someone chopped off the cat's tail when it was younger. This is one story, however, that has a happy ending. The firefighters who found him will be adopting him as their mascot. In Dayton, Linda Robertson, News Center 7.
That's a tough one. A veterinarian says the cat has a damaged eye and lost a lot of fur, but in time his injuries will heal. Bundle up. Dave says it could be the coldest night on record this year.
And we'll show you how some bank employees in Troy helped one woman get ready for the cold weather.
Did you know we're growing faster than McDonald's or Burger King?
And to celebrate, Rally's has a great 79-cent deal. Get our great quarter-pound burger for only 79 cents. Hey, you can buy 5 for less than $4. So come celebrate and save big today.
We're America's fastest growing burger chain. 'Cause we're fast, and we're cheap. Wheel into Rally's.
Right now, our great quarter-pound burger is just 79 cents.
Here's $500. Want it? Take it. You couldn't have it last month. Can't have it next month. Today, it's yours. Here's $750. Put it with the $500. Here's $600 more. If you need one of these, don't miss this. For 40 days, the Valley Olds family will start you, rev you, and protect you with the Oldsmobile Edge. Oldsmobile Cutlass Calais, $8,900. Cutlass Calais, $8,900. Step on it while the money flies at your Valley Olds family.
If you love that just-opened freshness of mountain-grown Folgers, now you can love it even longer. Introducing the Folgers Freshness Pack. Ground roast Folgers that stays fresh longer because our new bottle seals up tighter, so the rich aroma of our mountain-grown beans stays fresh and irresistible. So you can be too.
The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
The new Folgers Freshness Pack.
These shows are on every day all over the world. The audiences are huge, and the sex is sometimes explicit. On the next Entertainment Tonight, we've got the inside story on the ultra-sexy soaps from around the world.
Actresses in erotic soap operas are very much admired by the French public.
And in Japan, Germany, and elsewhere. They're the hottest soaps you can imagine, and you won't believe what they show. But you'll see it all only on the next Entertainment Tonight.
Entertainment Tonight at 7:30. News Center 7 at 11 tonight.
Maybe you felt it today when the first blast of cold weather hits. You start noticing those drafts around the windows and under the doors. Tonight, a Troy woman is ready for winter thanks to some area banks, and they did more than shell out the money to winterize her home. They actually did the work. News Center Steve Baker has the story.
A half dozen employees of Fifth Third Bank in Miami County left their business suits in the closet and wore blue jeans to work on this particular day. Their mission was to spend a day doing yard work and winterizing the home of Edna Drew on North Elm Street in Troy as part of Fifth Third's community caring program. The help, says Mrs. Drew, was certainly an answer to a prayer.
Well, I was very much surprised and very thankful that they came and did all this work for me.
Can you understand why?
No, I don't understand. I do understand why. I believe the Lord is behind it all. He's the one that's given it back to me. He's the only one that could have told these people that I needed help.
The community caring program at Fifth Third Bank in Miami County is a relatively new project involving bank employees. In Troy, Steve Baker, News Center 7.
That's a really nice story.
Yes, it certainly is. I'm calling on Dave Freeman to dispel these nasty rumors about 27, 26-degree lows we're facing. Dave, I'm sure that you can shine some light on this and ease our fears.
Sorry about that. It's going to be cold. There's no doubt about it.
They're not just kidding us, trying to scare us?
But what's worrying me is that I'm now on a roll of 2 in a row of tough Saturdays to spend it outdoors. Last May, when we had our household hazardous waste cleanup, it rained all day. This Saturday, it's going to be downright chilly out there, but we'll be there. That's out at the Montgomery County South Incinerator on Saturday, picking up your household hazardous waste. And if you come out there, we'll be happy to give you one of these rather nifty little household hazardous waste wheels. It's kind of dial a mess. You look up what you've got to dispose of, or maybe if you're looking for an alternative for a chemical product, this wheel will tell you. Every card that comes through on Saturday will get one of these, as well as the opportunity to drop off your household hazardous waste and know that it will be disposed of properly. And don't forget, these little items here, household batteries, flashlight batteries, radios, watches, think of all the places you use them. We'll take these as well, and they will be recycled.
You know, what's interesting about that wheel is you can use baking soda for a lot of things, a lot of much more tough.
You were
I was playing with the wheel, yes.
You can also heat up pizza on the microwave.
You can tell where his heart is. Well, let's take a look and see just how cold it's going to be for this Saturday. The Doppler storm eye radar is dry. There were 13 minutes of sprinkles reported this afternoon at Dayton International Airport. That's the only thing that we've had so far today. Everywhere now we're looking at cloudy to clear skies out in Indianapolis, where they're at 36 degrees. Partly cloudy up in Lima, 38. We're still pretty cloudy here. You can't tell it from Tower Cam, of course, this time of year. We're just looking at the twinkling lights of the city this evening. Let's check our current conditions out at Dayton International Airport. We're at 37 degrees. This should be 39 here at WHIO-TV. 39 our current temperature here. The National Weather Service reporting the barometer at 6 o'clock is steady at 30.24, 82% humidity, and northwest wind at 10 miles an hour. As far as our air quality today, it was 33. That's in the good range. Today's high temperature, if you want to call it that, not very much so, 44. That occurred just before noon at 11:30, and this morning at 3 a.m. we had a low of 31 degrees. The record's 76. I would have loved that. Back in 1938, 20, the record low. Back 15 minutes of sprinkles. We have a trace of precipitation. 68 hundredths remains our total for November, and almost 48 inches so far in 1990. Here's the situation today. The sprinkles, the clouds, all in association with a cold front that has now passed us by, and it's busting on to the east, and as it does so, we're going to see some of the clearing as we saw out in Indianapolis, and it's also ushering in much cooler air. This high back here is a very cold one. In Laramie, Wyoming this morning, you know those cartoon characters where they have icicles on their nose? That's the way it was this morning. -7 in Laramie, Wyoming. And so that cold air is going to be moving in right on top of us. Over the next 24 hours, we will be the coldest we have been so far this winter season. Now we're going to start turning our attention to this system down here to the south. It's going to kind of merge with that front in a very quick fashion so that by Friday, as that front slides through, it could tap some of the moisture up from the Gulf, and that may touch off a chance of a shower, possibly even a snow flurry up in the way northern Miami Valley. Then toward the weekend, it looks like things will clear out, but again, ushering in another blast of cold air. So all that talk about the coldest night of the season, I'll be telling you again next week that we're getting ready to do it again. Here's the upper airflow, and this is why we think that storm will stay to the south, is that the upper airflow is just going to mash it down on top of all the folks down in the Southland. So we may get a shower or two out of it all, but we're going to avoid the real heavy rainfall. Brisk cold clouds begin to break later on tonight. 26 for the overnight low. 28 has been our lowest temperature so far this winter season. 46 will be tomorrow's high. We could end up with quite a bit of sunshine in the afternoon, so it probably won't feel so bad. 30 then tomorrow night. Friday, we'll have mostly cloudy skies, and showers will be a possibility, and again, an off chance for a snow flurry way up north. 48 for the high, 34 overnight. A great day for your household hazardous waste collection on Saturday. Partly cloudy skies, 44. 30 overnight, and then here we go on Sunday. We drop down to 32. On Monday, I should say 42. 38 for the high on Monday with mostly cloudy skies. 22 on Monday night could double up as the next most coldest night. Here's tonight's weather school question. Thunder is caused by thunderstorms colliding, heat expanding the air, or lightning hitting solid objects. The correct answer, B, heat expanding the air. And by the way, a quick thank you to the Greenville Kiwanis for a great lunch and a great time, and they had a lot of nice things to say about my two cohorts here.
Well,
that's nice.
Wish you'd tell us about that. Unfortunately, we don't have time to hear it now. Good news for Flyer basketball. Mike Hartsock's next from News Center 7.
The weather was brought to you by your Miami Valley Cadillac Gold Key dealers.
When it comes to matching the quality of Cadillac's 24-hour roadside service, other domestic car makers just don't cut it. On balance, the choice for peace of mind is Cadillac.
See your Miami Valley Cadillac Gold Key dealer. For a limited time, get a $1,500 cash bonus direct from Cadillac when you purchase a new 1991 Brougham or select 1990 model Cadillacs. See your dealer for details.
On balance, the choice for value is Cadillac.
The Dayton Laser Center on standard operating procedure. This man needs surgery. So today, he's going to do something that should become standard operating procedure for anyone facing surgery. Something that could lead to treatment with less pain than conventional surgery, less blood loss, and a quicker recovery. A procedure so easy, he can do it himself.
The Dayton Laser Center?
Yes. If you need surgery, call the Dayton Laser Center now.
Would I be a candidate for laser surgery?
Call for a free booklet describing how lasers can make surgery easier in many cases, and to arrange a consultation to help determine if surgery with lasers is right for you. Ask your doctor about laser surgery and call the Dayton Laser Center, because this simple operating procedure should be standard for anyone facing surgery. The Dayton Laser Center at Good Samaritan Hospital.
There are tastes and smells and feelings that remind me of home, but only one that takes me there. Bob Evans Farm Sausage, the taste that takes you home.
My mother and I had our morning routine down to a science. We were partners in a race against time. And somewhere in those hurried moments, we also became friends.
Bob Evans Sausage and Biscuits, ready in a minute and a half. The taste that takes you home.
Mike Hartsock is in now with sports. When you go to a Flyers game, not too long, you're going to see a new face out on the court, and a very talented one.
Just when the rest of us are starting to plan to buy Christmas presents, Jim O'Brien's opening one. You know? A lot of experts say he's one of the top 50 high school recruits in the country. Chip Hare says he'll play his college basketball at Dayton. The 6'9", 240-pound big man made the commitment up in Massillon today. He plays at Perry High School up there. Chip chose the Flyers over Ohio State. He was a big-time prospect despite playing only 6 games a year ago, sitting out with an elbow injury. A big man with three-point shooting range. Hare joins Beaver Creek's Marco Picard as early Flyer commitments. Meanwhile, the stage is set for the Division III football showdown of the season this week in Dayton. The top-rated Flyers hosting number 3 Ferrum. First off, let's answer your question. Ferrum is a little school in a little town in Virginia, but the Panthers do have a big-time team.
There's no doubt they are the best football team that we have played this year from the standpoint of talent. And then I think the other standpoint is that they have been winning.
On paper, it's anything you can do, we can do better. The Flyers average 340 yards a game running the football. Ferrum does better.
Outstanding running backs. They run the wishbone attack. They're number 1 in the country in rushing yardage. Are averaging close to 500 yards a game rushing.
The Flyers usually throw a lot of weight around on their opponents. Ferrum is bigger.
Well, Ferrum can actually line up 3 young men on their offensive line that are over 300 pounds. They can start 2 guards. One will weigh 380, 6'5". The other one is 6'5" and weighs 303. And we just don't see that kind of size week in and week out. And then along with that, they have the great skill and speed in the backfield. So there's no doubt we're going to have to play our very best to win this ball game.
For the second time in as many weeks, the Dunbar Wolverines get a shot at knocking off an unbeaten team. Top-rated St. Mary's putting an 11-0 record on the line Friday night, taking on the City League champs on their home field. John Condit has more on Dunbar's chances.
The Dunbar Wolverines are preparing for a perfect St. Mary's team, but not the most talented team that the Wolverines have faced.
They execute real well, but as far as physical talent, no. They have the best physical talent team, no.
It should be a defensive challenge for the 9-2 Wolves. St. Mary's has scored 40 points in a shutout over Cincinnati Northwest on Friday.
Yeah, they do a lot of tricky plays. We have to stay at home instead of blitz a lot and build out of the tricky plays, the counters, the quick draws.
Now, one thing for the Wolverines, they'll get to play on their home field here at Welcome Stadium. That's very rare for a playoff game.
I don't think they had to give permission. I think the state knew it was a money game, and the crowd, the best facilities, it was available, and why not play in here?
We playing at home. We haven't lost at home yet.
I'm John Condit, covering the playoffs for Touchdown 7.
One final note, you know, Super Bowl 27, 1993, is supposed to be played in Phoenix, Arizona, but Phoenix and the entire state of Arizona they voted down a Martin Luther King holiday yesterday during their election, and the commissioner of the National Football League says, well, I don't know if we want to play the Super Bowl there.
So it's off?
So it's not off yet, but chances are, unless they vote a holiday in, they won't play Super Bowl 27 out there.
Okay.
So I guess there's no hope of a Super Bowl in Ohio.
Yeah, we could offer Welcome Stadium.
A little bit too chilly.
Thanks, Mike. When we come back, a local company that outsells the Japanese in Japan.
The Sports has been brought to you by McDonald's Restaurants and Dayton area Toyota dealers.
McDonald's presents the real values.
Big Mac, McDLT, McChicken, quarter pounder with cheese.
Choose your favorite big sandwich now at a big savings, just $1.49 each.
One low price to get your fill, just some change and a dollar bill. You know the one for value, real value, and food, folks, and fun.
My dad said to me my first car should be a Toyota. It turned out to be the right choice. In 1983, my Toyota cost me about $6,700. Trade-in value, I got $2,500, which averages to about $50 a month. I picked out a 1990 Toyota Corolla. It just felt right when I got in it. It's a great car. Why would I want anything else?
Toyota quality pays for itself. That's why it pays to see your Toyota dealer now.
Hey there. Grandpa knew you could catch the ball. Pick it up and throw it.
No.
Come on, throw it to Grandpa. See, you catch it with your hands. Huh? Boy, that's the way to do it.
Good Samaritan Hospital. The hands of experience.
When you miss the ball, you got to get out and catch it.
A Huber Heights company whose products outsell Japanese products in Japan has received a top award from the president. Spectra Physics makes lasers that are used in high-tech surveying equipment. The company started out in founder Bob Studebaker's basement. Now it sells its lasers in 37 foreign countries. Spectra Physics received the President's E Award for excellence in exporting, and nearly all 600 workers were there for the ceremony. Only 10 other Dayton companies have received the E Award in 30 years.
Oil prices moved up sharply today in New York, but the close was still well below the $40 a barrel highs hit at some times during the Persian Gulf crisis. Texas Intermediate was up $2.68 today to $35.31 a barrel. The U.S. dollar, though, was weaker. Gold was higher in Europe today. In London, gold gained $7 an ounce to end at $387.25. In New York, where gold had its big gain yesterday, the close was down 30 cents an ounce to $386.30. Silver on the New York COMEX up 4 cents today to end the day at $4.27. The stock market fell today. The Dow Jones Industrial Average lost almost 45 points, 44.31 to be exact. The Dow closed at 2440.84. Decliners led gainers by 5 to 2. Trading was moderate today, 149,130,000 shares. Analysts say the market appeared to be on hold, awaiting the results of a quarterly offering of bonds and notes by the Treasury Department, which began on Tuesday and continues through Thursday. On the big board in New York, 2 highs for the year and 83 new lows. The New York Stock Exchange estimates that a share of common stock on the average lost 47 cents in value today, and the New York Exchange Index was off 2.74, closing at 167.47. Over on the American Stock Exchange, volume today was 11,095,000 shares, with 2 highs for the year and 41 new lows. The American Exchange estimates that a share of common stock was down 8 cents in value. The American Exchange Index lost 2.41. It closed at 289.74. And Standard & Poor's 500 Stock Index was down 5.61. It closed today at 306.01. Dog therapy in a hospital. Next, from News Center 7.
The Wall Street Business Report, brought to you in part by your Dayton Honda dealers.
There is an easier way to fix your car. Get a Civic 4-door from Honda.
Visit your 5-star Honda dealers and test drive a new Honda today.
It is very important for women to take control of their own health and have regular and timely cancer screening.
This Pro Health Minute brought to you by Miami Valley Hospital, the region's leader.
A pelvic examination and pap smear are screening tests that help detect cancer of the cervix as well as precancerous conditions. These tests are painless, they are inexpensive, and they are readily available through your doctor. Every woman should have a pap smear, starting between the age of 18 and 20, or at the start of sexual activity. The test should be done every year for life, even in women who've had a hysterectomy. There are very few early signs or symptoms of cervical or vaginal cancer. Most are not recognized by women themselves. It is therefore very important that you have a regular pap smear and pelvic examination. Only through early detection can we best treat cancer in women.
For more information, call CareFinders at Miami Valley Hospital, a public service from the staff of Miami Valley Hospital.
And another thing, when I get sick, I want someone to take care of me, like a helpful pharmacist who's right there when I feel bad. Well, how much can you expect from a pharmacist in a discount store or in a supermarket next to the frozen foods? I grew up with Revco. Now, wherever there's a Revco, my fiance and I know we'll find helpful pharmacists and great prescription prices. Seems like too much to expect from other stores, but exactly what you get from Revco. And another thing.
Dogs these days aren't just man's best friend. It seems they are also doctors, at least at a hospital in Burlington, Vermont anyway. That is because Jordan and Lily bring laughter and love into the lives of sick little boys and girls staying there. Now, Jordan and Lily really get into the role, as you can see here. They may never dress like Florence Nightingale, but they do dress up as circus performers, cows, zebras, and bunny rabbits. You're missing it if you're listening on radio because it's cute. A wagging tail, wet nose, and kiss may not cure these sick youngsters, but it certainly makes hospital time a lot more pleasant.
Boy, those kids are having a good time. That is our 6 o'clock report for Wednesday, November 7th, 1990.
The CBS Evening News is next, then tonight on News Center 7 at 11 o'clock. Several hundred troops are taking off from Wright-Patterson tonight, headed for the Persian Gulf. We'll be there when the soldiers say goodbye.
Also at 11, kids in Huber Heights say voters let them down by voting down an income tax for schools. We'll explain what cuts are in store for those kids.
Dave Freeman says we are heading for the coldest night of this season.
That's all coming up tonight at 11. Now to CBS.
2 more tank divisions to be sent to Saudi Arabia. Incumbents dominate election 1990. And riots in Israel over the assassination of Rabbi Kahana. This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting tonight from CBS News election headquarters in New York. Good evening. CBS News has learned that the United States is preparing a major redeployment of offensive U.S. military forces